I'm finally back with the third and fourth dimension. And I had this whole thing prepared for you guys, but I'm not. Actually, I'm just gonna let it go with the flow of what's coming to me, because this dimension is so incredibly hard to describe. So I want you guys to realize that is nothing like what you're used to. Nothing. And so when I tell you things, you kind of have to open your mind, because you're going beyond your senses, beyond anything you could taste, feel, touch, understand. You know what I mean? Anything that's physically known to you by your senses is not always present in these other states. And so I will get into more of things later about your consciousness. And so when I tell you about these other dimensions, it's because you can raise your conscious vibration up to these dimensions while you're here on Earth. And so the reason why I'm going through these dimensions without getting into the conscious information is because I want you to understand that when you soul travel, you're actually experiencing these dimensions in higher levels. And so in order to get to this dimension, to get out of the frequency of Earth, to get out of the frequency of treetop level that I described to you, that would be 1 and 2, levels 1 and 2. So you want to get up to 3 and 4. So you have to literally let go of every belief that you've had about who you are. Let it go. Because you're not skin. You know, you are of conscious thought. That's who you are. That's your soul. So when we go into the higher dimensions, what happens is once you leave the lower planes of this low frequency vibration, you're going up into space. Literally, you're going to space. So when you look up at your stars at night, they still look the same when you're in space. When I travel to space, I've been completely in space. Like, I'm not kidding you. So under the moon, when you look around, things still look like the stars we see when we're down here. That's how far that these suns that are burning are, even when you're laying under the moon. And so when you're in space, you're seeing space as you do here, because it's still so far away. Now, I could be under the planet. Doesn't change the fact that I don't see it as space. So when you go up here, there is infinity amount of information. There's no way that I could begin to describe the information that we have in the cosmos, which is the third and fourth world I'm telling you about. In the cosmos, you see planets, okay? There's a planet that I know for certain that has life on it. Life. Now, I'm not sure that if NASA actually was to able to get to this planet, I'm not sure if they would actually see the light and the life through their lenses. In order to see it, it would have to be sped up. Our frequency on technology might not be that fast yet. But if we had a device that would allow us to speed up frequencies to the point of the frequency they're on, which is relatively actually it's completely sped up. It's like 1,000 times faster than this one, okay? If we had a device that could show us life on this planet through these eyes of a speeded up camera, then they would see what I see, okay? So just as you guys don't see these lost souls on Earth, just as no one can just stand here and say they see all these ghosts and entities, that's because their level isn't sped up fast enough. However, there is aura imaging now. So on this lower plane, our technology has advanced enough to where they can actually take an image, and it's like an infrared image of your aura. So they can if it's red, that means you're at a ground level. Your energy is low, your conscious is low on a negative frequency. If it's red, they can determine your health. They can determine what you need, and usually it would be meditation. It would mean that you need to eat healthier. Okay, so if you have a purple aura, that's your top. This is all technology that's not even... Doctors should have this. Doctors should have this in the offices to take pictures of your aura so they can diagnose you correctly. But they don't let us have this information. This is information of technology that people just aren't aware of. And that's not what I'm here to tell you today. I'm telling you that there's life on other planets. One in particular I visited, so I'm not going to make stuff up. I don't know how many planets have life. I know that the one that I've been to, if you're under the moon and you go downward, you seem to go to Earth, right? Here's the moon. I went to the right. I don't know what direction I was in. I was literally directly under the moon. When I went right, I meant to go down to Earth. When I went right, I ended up to another planet. The planet looked just like this one. Identical. I thought I was on Earth. So when I landed here, it was just crazy because I didn't land at home. So I'm thinking, that makes no sense. But I still thought I was on Earth somewhere. Somewhere, who knows where. I landed basically in a suburb. I seen a lady, and I think I've said this before about the story of this lady. I'm not going to get into the story. I'm just going to tell you that I followed her because I thought she was in need of help. And as a medium person like I am, I thought I was traveling on an earthly frequency, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to just follow her because she's in danger, and I'm not going to be scared, because I know that being scared is just fake. I'm going to follow her and see what is going on, and I'm going to help her because she was having a fight with a male, her husband, I assume. And I thought he was going to hurt her. And so I bear witness. I said, God, if this is what you want me to watch, I obviously was put here for a reason. I'm gonna stay in here strong, and I'm gonna watch, and then when I wake up at home, I'm going to help someone, because I thought I was gonna witness a murder. That was hard for me to do with having the will that I can go wherever I want. It was hard for me to do, to watch. It was hard for me to stand there, but I knew there was a reason for where I was at. And so, long story short, I followed this lady after the fight. She wasn't hurt. It was a screaming match. She got in her car. Yes, her car. And she left. When she left, she went to an office-looking old building. I followed her in. In this room, it almost looked like a meditated state. There was a lot of books. It looked like a place like a library, a place of quiet and peace. And that's where she went to gain her consciousness back. She had to clear her mind in this area. Then she looked at me. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm a ghost, that she can't see me. I'm thinking I'm on earthly level. And she looked at me and she was like, are you going to follow me all day? And I will never forget the way she looked at me and said that, because it brought me into reality that I am not on earth. Nobody on earth's going to see me. I was in ghost figure. I was in spirit form. And so I just kind of was like in shock. You know, my expressions did not change out there. And so I was just like, whoa. Well, how can you see me, you know? And then I had limited time with her. So she pretty much told me I couldn't follow her all day long. And so it was kind of funny, like she was laughing about it. She's like, almost like, you just don't understand. You just don't understand, you know? And so I don't know. She told me, I know you. I've read books about you. Thinking, books about me? You know, I don't know what kind of books she's read about me. But she knew me, and I'm thinking, did she home in on my vibration? If she's reading a book about me on another planet, then she's toned into my vibration, and what she has done is she's connected to my soul. And while I'm unaware of this happening, it has pulled me to her direction. It has landed me in her presence. And so that's why she's thinking it's funny. And here I am. What am I doing here? Well, she's already probably read a book of my whole life experience, and she probably already knows that I've grown. She's known my experiences. I'm probably the sleep traveler. You know, who knows? I've been everywhere, and I couldn't even tell you where all I've been. But I'm telling you, this lady knew me. I didn't know her. And she knew my story. Even though I don't. I knew she knew. And so when I tell her, you know, like, she knows I don't understand. Like, here I am, blah. Well, this is about how I was in front of her. Literally. I'm like, blah. Like, I have so many questions, but I have limited time. And she told me herself, you can't follow me all day. Well, thanks for telling me, because I'm an idiot, because I'm earthling, because I've forgot my higher self. When you live on earth, you forget your higher self. You are created from a higher being, your true self. So when you come down to earth, you become who you think you are. And here we go again with my lips. They're dry. But anyway, you become who you think you are. So it's who you were born into. It's who taught you to be the way you are. It's the circumstances that put you where you're at right now. And it's made you believe who you are. Now, when we come to earth, we have the choice to come to earth. And there's things here that we can't experience in other dimensions, period. And so people want this. I wanted this, or I wouldn't be here. You wanted this. And your job here is to find your higher self, to shed these layers of imaging that isn't even real. That's not real. It's almost like we are an illusion. If you can consider yourself being in a dream state, here I am on earth telling you about a dream state of a higher plane. How do you think I know about this higher plane? Because in that plane, I'm awake here when I'm only sleeping there. My body has been able to transfer itself through these dimensions because it's aware. And it will become easy for you to do so when you become aware. And to realize this, you have to learn the levels of your consciousness. If your consciousness, your mind, is on a negative frequency, you're stuck on the lower dimensions. You didn't learn. In order for you to learn and grow, you have to understand that there is a higher self within you. And who you think you are is who you became, but that's not who you are. It's a 3D world here. A lot of people call this world the 3D world. Basically, they call it the third dimension. I presented it as the first dimension since we're on here, but technically, if you think about it, the third dimension would be correct. Earth. So that would be fourth dimension would be treetop level. Fifth and sixth would be, what did I tell you, cosmos. Seventh would be heaven. So it's how you want to perceive it. But I'm telling you, for me, it's easy to understand, and I'm sure it's for you guys easy to understand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how I'm describing it to you. So level 1, earthly plane, slow vibrations. This is a 3D world. Just like you watch TV on your screen and get a 3D imaging, that's how this world is. So 3D, what is 3D when you watch it on TV? It's an illusion. There's no other way to put it. You're living in a 3D perspective. So the illusions that you create are that of the mind, and it manifests into what your reality is. And if anybody's ever read the book of The Secret, you would know that if you really think positive enough, you can create it. But it's not just about thinking, it's about being. You have to realize who you are. You can't just think something and hope it happens. You have to think it and believe because you know, because your higher self is able to make anything happen for you. And I promise you that. I promise you that. So let's start with shedding. First and foremost on this life, you must shed everything you think you are. Everything anyone's ever hurt you, anything anyone's ever said to you, the feelings and emotions you have, they're not real. They're a manifestation of your reality because you created it. I'm not telling you bad circumstances can't happen to you. It's how you take those. It's how you take those. Because the devil's working on a lot of people. He will influence people that you love, and then you have to suffer for that. Now, who is suffering? Who is suffering? You. And why are you suffering? Because you've allowed it to manifest into your being. So now you believe this is you, and it's not you. So the first step is to realize that. Shed those thoughts. Because your true self and your higher God is nothing but pure. Nothing but pure. Okay? So your job here is to start there. That way when you die, you're not stuck on that second dimension treetop level that's ran consistently with Earth. You're not stuck there because you already know that this is illusion. This is not real. And so once you know that, your soul's going to know that, and there's going to be nothing that holds you here anymore. And so you're not confined to the earth. You're not grounded to the earth. You're not falsely shown things that aren't even going to affect you, that aren't real. So once that happens, and I'm talking when you die, but I'm also talking now. Once that happens and you come aware of this and you start to realize that you are in control of your thoughts are not you, then you can begin to manifest what you want. Okay? That's when we go into the third and fourth dimensions. When we are able to recognize that we are not limited to the human body. When we are able to realize that we can control what happens in our physical realm. That skips us to the level of purgatory. And that takes us into space, which is the third and fourth dimension I keep talking about. And I say third and fourth because there's a transcending effect that happens. So when you go up there, you can lay under the moon, but then you have to force yourself through other portals or time frames. These are times. This is a timeline. So you have to project yourself into certain wormholes per se, or certain dimensions of planets like the one I just told you about. Now, if I think the space and the wormholes and that whole dark blank area would be third dimension. I think that planet would be fourth dimension, is how I look at that. And I don't want to speak on any other planets that I don't know about. I'm speaking of the one that I've been to numerous times. This planet has my grandmother on it. Now, my grandmother helped to raise me. My mom had me very young, so she was at school a lot. And I know that her life on Earth was troubling. Okay, very troubling. And so she still knew God. You'll hear me talk about her in videos a lot because she'll say they'll shake your bed at night. She feared the fact that I could see beyond reality. She feared it. What's that do? Creates negative feelings. That's what that does. So she was a very wise woman. Very smart. Very loving. But she did not make it quite to heaven yet. Does that defy who she is? No, because she just hasn't reached her true self. Now, she's not confined by earth. She's not a demon. She's not even a lost soul. She's advanced to this part of knowledge. So this part of knowledge that I tell you now would advance you to that part of her, where she's at. This knowledge you know, and I'm going to rise you above that to the fifth dimension of consciousness. And that'll be the next video. But for now, I'm telling you, if you can concept and understand and learn and grow from the things I tell you to do now, it will put you in the mindset on Earth right here to where you're, say if you were to die tomorrow, you would go straight to that planet. I'm telling you. This planet is full of people that are there to learn. They understand that life was an illusion. They understand. They know about this life because they came from it. So they understand that this life is nothing but a joke. So now that since they didn't really completely understand on Earth, but they tried to live the best they could, and they had a pretty sin-free and free of negative life attitude, they just needed to realize that life experiences was not them. And so when they went to the higher realms, they are now being shown that. And it's a lesson. There's cars there, there's street lights, there's houses. Okay? And all of them know us. So if you, like I said, take a picture, a camera that speeds up to their vibration, and NASA was able to go to that planet and take a picture on that high frequency level, they would see the whole world of that planet. Okay? I'm not kidding. This planet looked like ours. And like I said, they're there. And they do have, the only thing they have, they don't have evil, like, they do not have demons. Okay? But they have souls that have false identities still. False personalities. That's what lives there. Now we know here on Earth we have many people with false personalities. Many people that trick you with a false perception of their view of themselves. Their job there is that one thing, that false personality perception. Their job is to get rid of that. They are so far advanced and they got one little thing to understand and they're reliving it without any knowledge of the higher self. They're reliving it to learn. Okay? So they have to find the higher self. And they're doing that. I don't see any other way that they can't do that. Now, I think about the man that seemed to be like he was going to hurt his wife. He didn't hurt her. So that was my illusion of what I'm used to here on Earth, but no. After experiencing this world enough, that man's intent was never to hurt her, and she knew it. However, she knows that she needs to get away from his false personality, and she has to find her mind. And this lady, whoever she was, has found it. She has found it, and she will rise into a higher level when she passes on from that planet. She knows me. She knows how to tune into the frequency of the mind. She understands false personality. Now, that might not mean that she don't love her husband. She might be trying to guide him. But for her to walk away and get her mindset shows me a lot about who she is. Now, my grandma, when I seen her, "You're a medium," was the first response I got. "Oh my gosh, you're a medium." Well, Grandma, I've told you my whole life here on Earth when I lived with you that I was a medium. You were scared of it. You see me in the afterlife. I visited you from and you're still in shock that I'm a medium? What is wrong? Do you understand? She has not learned yet, unfortunately. She still has a little bit of fear from the unknown. And that's okay. That's okay, because she will learn. And I know she will. But it takes time. You know, people are sitting here and they don't understand things overnight. They have to be taught. And so she's learning. If God wanted us to be programmed the way He wanted us to be, without will, He would send a little puppet string down here and control our every movement to the best of what He wants. It's not working that way. He gave us free will. And in the other planets, you still have free will. And your decisions will choose where you go. Now, when you get stuck here, suicides, car crashes, you die too young, you might not be a negative demon soul where you've created all these crimes and horrible things. You seriously might just be a lost soul. He gives you time to learn. You just have a hard time learning at the low level of purgatory. Because now everything that you can't see, you can. And what that does is play tricks on your mind. Because what's this earth do? Nothing but tricks. Nothing but devil playing mind games. And on that level, he can see everything. And he actually manifests these things that are in your mind. It's like the kid that's scared of underneath his bed because there's a monster. Well, the kid can't see it, but he feels it. Okay? So he feels some negative energy and he's scared. He don't know what it is. So in his mind, he thinks, oh my gosh, it's a monster. And he could actually visualize this monster that doesn't even exist. This happens. So when people don't understand the level of consciousness and they die, they still perceive things in this manner. So when they see fear, when they feel fear, excuse me, they manifest this idea. So this is the deal. On that purgatory level, they will really legitly see it. Right before their eyes. They're scared and they see something dark. They feel dark because they're in a dark dimension. And then they feel a negative spirit and then they see it and they're scared. And then they see it and it will show its face to them. It is an illusion, but this person that is deceased can't see it as an illusion because they don't have any communication with their higher self to know there's anything better. And so the devil just keeps playing tricks on these people. And if they don't rise above, they end up getting so angry that they create false energy that causes bad, more bad. So they're getting sucked into this level, and that's the devil's work. So this dimension of space is a capsule of time. All of our thoughts go there. It is a place where anything that you want is giving to you. If you think it, boom, you're there. Now, why do we choose a 3D reality here on Earth? We choose that because time is slowed down. Why would we need time slowed down? Well, because we have to learn. Now, if we're in space and everything's boom, boom. Man, can you imagine the thoughts of people here on this earth? How many thoughts go through their mind? For example, I need to clean, right? So I'm cleaning my house. Pretend I'm on the 3rd and 4th level dimension world. Say I'm cleaning my house. I'm in the space area. And so I'm going to do some dishes, okay? I'm doing the dishes and I think, oh, I need to do laundry. Boom! I'm in my laundry room. And I'm like, okay, I gotta do some laundry. And then I think, oh my gosh, I gotta clean the bathroom. Boom, I'm in the bathroom. I need to take a bath. Boom, I'm in the shower. There's no walking to these places. Period. Now, I know I told you they drive cars, and I'll get to that. But you listen now about this 3rd and 4th dimension. There is time that's boom, boom, boom. So why would we want to go to this earthly dimension is to learn. We want the 3D perspective because time is slowed down. So that way we are able to feel with our hands. We are able to taste with our mouth. We're slowed down enough to view things in a slow. It's like if you have a video and you slow it down and you're like, you know, you're watching a video in slow motion. Think of all the learning you have in that slow motion. If you're watching it in fast forward, how much learning do you have? This is why we choose this. In our last life, we had stuff left to learn. And the other thing is there's a spiritual awakening going on right now. And I know not everybody sees it, but many people do. So you'll see more videos like this one coming out because there are so many people waking up to this, which made me do it. I've been accustomed to this life for a long time, so I wasn't surprised. Like when I guess I just already had this knowledge, okay? But my uncle, or my cousin, had an awakening, and that blew my mind. So this whole transitioning is happening on earth. So what had happened is, say that they have a call literally from heaven, and they're saying, hey, in 2019 we're gonna have an awakening, which actually started happening in 2012 is when the awakening started happening. And they call out and they say, whoever wants to live this life, this is a transforming time on earth. Who wants to be a part of it? I'm like, me. Boom, I was born. Okay, so we already have a goal and a purpose before we come. And so I feel like my purpose was to witness this transformation and to help people through it. That's why I have so much knowledge with me. So it's important to realize that our 3D world is actually rising up to a 5th dimensional currency of mind. This is for many reasons. I'll get into that in another video. Actually, I'm not even going to sidetrack from the space. Now, when I tell you that the planet had cars, there is a slower frequency when you go to that planet. Okay, so I'm boom, boom, boom. Any place on space, I'm boom, boom, boom. So say I die and I'm stuck in the 3rd dimension, which is space, time and travel. Everywhere I go is boom, boom, boom. How am I going to think clearly enough to choose the direction I go? Because I haven't raised myself to the 4th dimension, which is the world, okay? Which is the world I told you about. So if I can't think straight and I can't understand what's happening with this travel, if I don't have time to comprehend it without knowing before I died, then I'm stuck in the space-time continuum. Then I'm realizing in that dimension that my job to realize what that is all time is ran consistently. All thought is self-thought, self-will thought, but it's actually creating what happened on earth, and you create your own timelines. That the past, present, and future all run in the same timeline. That is something that's very difficult to explain, and I'm not going to hit it on this video because I'm just roughly and just hitting the surface of these other dimensions so I can get into more powerful talking, because that's what I'm here to do. And so these dimensions, like I said, once you learn the time-space continuum, you can choose where you're going from there. Now, obviously you have more learning to do, right? So you're going to pick a planet. You're going to go where you need to go to get more learning. So this is kind of confusing. The entities on this planet, my grandmother is in the same age, the same body shell. She appears the same body shell as she did here on earth. Now, that could be because her self-image of herself, that's how she took herself there. Okay? That's getting into deep stuff. But you know, these people are here because they have to realize the self-image is who they think they are. They haven't shed every layer that needs shed. And therefore, they're still carrying some earthly-looking qualities. Therefore, they're still driving their cars. So they understood the space-time continuum. But yet, when they went into relive more knowledge, they had to be slowed down enough to retain it again. Do you understand? So why do they know about us? It's because they left here and went there. It wasn't like they were rebirthed into a new baby and they were unprogrammed to reprogram themselves to find their higher self. They actually went straight from here to there. There's old, young. I had a child that passed away in my stomach. He was only 3 months. I was only 3 months. I had 2 children actually pass. I was affected, yeah. It still wasn't something I carried with me as if I had a child. I thought that the soul didn't even enter the child until later stages, until birth actually happened. So, I was wrong because I seen him at this place. Now, the difference in my grandma, who, she's 69 in this world, my son, he hugged me, and I have 3 other sons. So I knew the love and the bond you have with your child. And what had happened was I was walking and he said, "Do you know me?" Just like that. And I looked back and I was like, "I don't think so." And then he just come up to me and he hugged me so tight. And when he hugged me, I felt the bond that you would feel with your child. And so I looked at him, and I'm pulling him away from me, and I'm like trying to look at his face. I know my time's limited because I'm very far away. And I'm like, let me see your face, you know? And I know his name was Christopher, which surprises me because I wouldn't think I would ever name my kid Christopher, but you know, it brought me back to the memory of my ex-husband always said that he wanted to name his kids after his buddies, Matthew and Christopher. That was something he said when we first met. I wouldn't allow that. It was never a possibility. But who's to say that I wouldn't have named that child Christopher under the influence of my ex-husband who wanted that name, you know? My other son was named middle name Matthew, so there's always, you know, I would probably have accepted that at least as a middle name. Not if anybody's name's Christopher, it's not against you. It's just, you know, I like these weird names. My name's Lucretia, so I'm like coming up with some crazy stuff. But anyhow, the deal is that I looked at him and I know he was my son. He had 2 missing teeth. He was about 7 or 8 years old right now. And he did not want to quit hugging me. And what was sad was when I looked at him, my time was limited and my body called me back and boom, I was home. And so I hated that I had to leave on that note because it's like, man, you know. But the deal is my son has raised an age. That's because he went to that earth and he's been nurtured by somebody that loves me. Somebody's take care of my child, and I have to talk to them about the way they've dressed my child because he had a little half shirt on. He's a little chubby guy. And so, yeah, I know that has to be my grandma. The deal is, you know, I'm not held to my child. You would think, well, what the heck? Like, I've wanted to go back to see him, but I don't let that control me. I'll have all the time in my life to go visit all the places in which I've already came from. And so there's just learning things that are going on. My grandma's son, he died before I was born in 1955. He was 10. His appearance there is that of a 10-year-old. Once you get to a certain age, you realize who you think you are, and you keep that age. You don't shed it. And so my son was born there, so he's still growing there. So there's a lot of detail in the things I tell you about each place. I knew Cosmos was going to be hard to describe to you guys. It's beyond the senses. It's beyond what you normally know. So it's important, I'm going to end this with letting you know it's important to raise your consciousness that you have right now within you up to these vibrations. Right now I'm functioning on a higher 4th and 5th dimension. Okay, all the time. All the time. I'm usually in a 5th dimension, a heavenly, blissfully, full of love, a state of full love. So I operate here on earth full of love. I spread God's word. I help people that are in need. I help cross lost souls over. I want everybody to feel the good that I know that's there, and that's with them. I help people shed this from themselves. And so that is my main purpose, I feel like, in life. And so the 4th dimension, sometimes I'm stuck there. I wouldn't even say stuck, because I haven't ever felt stuck, because I am fooled by false impressions of people. And in order to see the true self of somebody, sometimes I have to go out of body in spirit form to see it. If I was functioning on a 5th level all the time, I would never be tricked. So that's just where I am in my experience in my life. That doesn't mean anything bad. When I die, I have no doubt that I know I'm going to heaven, unless I do something to backslide and cause issues. That's not going to happen. So anyway, I will be back with the 5th dimension coming soon, and that'll tell you about heaven, the heavenly planes. That'll tell you about how you operate on them, what they look like, and I will tell you about Jesus himself. So definitely stay tuned, alright? Thanks for watching. Everybody be good to themselves and shed them negative energies.